Brilliant. And I love that you've said in the past, and perhaps you could elaborate, emotional pain, and I think this comes across in your music, your writing, everything. Emotional pain fuels creativity. Transmit feelings to the audience by tapping into those feelings. I think it's what separates you from other musicians. Could you elaborate on it? Because everything you have done, over time, you also said you surprised a storyteller in this day and age could go so far. Why? Don't at the end of the day, don't we all want to hear great stories that are relatable to us, that come from the heart, and we really just don't hear them anymore?
Do any of you work at record labels? You need to work at a record label. I think it's sexy.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I think I tried to be very realistic when I got discovered. I knew it was the height of grunge, so it was the height of pain, which I think is an important part of the process. It's just that I hit bottom a little bit earlier than culture maybe did at the time, the zeitgeist of where culture was at. And I was going, all right, no true cynic is alive. They've all killed themselves. The rest are pretending to make themselves feel safe. Cynicism is a type of armor that we use to distract ourselves from feeling bad. And the amount of energy we put into avoiding our feelings is quite staggering when you realize if you just feel a feeling, it goes right away. Mm-hmm. And the quicker we can tap into that, but it's scary because I actually learned, in neuroscience that the part of our brain that processes a broken leg is the same part of our brain that processes a hurt feeling. So our brains actually don't have a way of differentiating a broken heart from a broken leg. It's that scary and that painful, which we can all relate to. It's why we avoid feeling bad at all costs. I don't think we're taught in our culture that if you can move toward the pain and go ahead and feel it, it goes away. I liken it to like a tree. If the tree hung on to the weather and tried to grab the wind, it would pull the tree down. But if it will just be resilient and bend, because it has very deep roots, which I think are our values, the wind just passes through your limbs and you're going to be okay. You're going to weather the storms. There's going to be all kinds of weather in life, but you're going to be okay. And for me, learning that there was a rhythm to life, there was a rhythm to pain, there was a rhythm to emotions, and learning to trust that process and let them pass through me rather than hang on to them ended up being the definition of resilience for me in my life. And writing songs that were vulnerable for me was because I was so lonely when I was homeless. Most of my life I had spent so alone. And I realized, of course I'm alone. Nobody knows me. The only place I'm actually honest was in a notebook, and nobody ever read that book. I was pretending all the time. And so I decided to take a very big risk and stop pretending and be honest when I wrote songs. And I sang a 5-hour show to 2 surfers, the very first show I did in San Diego. But a strange thing happened. They didn't actually rebuke me. They actually said, oh my God, I didn't realize anybody else felt like this. And that's the funny thing, in my book, people are like, how do you be so honest? I'm like, did you not experience betrayal, loss, love? They're universal themes. Shakespeare wrote about it better than any of us. They're not new emotions I'm coming up with. It's just for some reason people don't want to talk about the actual journey of what being a human is. And when we don't, we do each other a disservice because all we have is our own emotional skill set that we were raised with. And then it usually isn't a very full toolkit. And so for me, it's been like, how do I get other tools so I can learn to speak a new emotional language? And I want to be able to talk about it, to be able to offer those tools to other people.